Oh, I guess Rain will go ahead and he will go ahead and interesting. Well, in that case,
now you're just referencing sheep's words there. Interesting, peculiar,
I keep getting
How
more
strange.
strange, weird,
Remarkable.
Improbable.
Very, very well, Jonas. In that case, how do I want to do this?
I don't know.
Well, we'll see what happens then. So Rain is going to go ahead and who would be good for this? I don't want to bother Alauneari. She's going to kill me. Zyn, follow me.
Sure.
We're going to the kitchen.
You just like spot like Zyn wandering around aimlessly. Just like I'm helping.
Talking to that.
I'm helping.
Then we're going to the kitchen.
And why exactly? I mean, I am hungry, so sure.
Are you going like how are you going there?
Walking, I suppose.
How many ways are there to go to a kitchen?
Airship.
You can. How are you dressed? If I express it like that.
I was going to suggest a submarine, but okay.
Well, Zyn is certainly dressed in his usual, rather functional and ready for anything clothing.
Ooh.
All right.
Rain, on the other hand, he'll be going more or less in his normal gear for this.
All right. Got it.
Though admittedly he's not carrying as many weapons around because that's tiring all day.
Mm.
I don't need to have I don't need to carry my warhammer and my 12 daggers in town.
And Zyn is certainly carrying his bow. He doesn't go anywhere without that.
I don't need 12 daggers while walking around in town. That seems excessive.
Or do you?
Yes, this creature must be killed with 13 daggers.
Precisely. 13 is Garrus's holy number. I don't know if that is true. All right. Yeah, you can certainly go to the kitchen.
On the way, Zyn had been informed that. So he's got a bit of a lead that it's possible that one of the guards noticed a gnome that apparently works in the kitchen lurking around the prayer site that yesterday.
I see.
So time for some Zyn diplomacy. Well, notably interrogation.
Zyn shrugs, but will note that Ivy did say that she would investigate the gnomes. Not that Zyn would mind to take action himself.
That is certainly a true point. Unfortunately, trying to find Ivy is being a bit difficult.
Well, as you say that, on your way towards the kitchen, you hear a psst from one of the side corridors.
I turn.
And there stands Ivy.
A moment seeing Ivy, just... Mistress of Whispers.
Lord Commander, Lord Marshal.
You might want to see this. And Rain will actually pull out basically his report he got from that guard you PM'd me about, Jonas.
Sure. She looks at it, slowly nods, and says, yes, that is basically what I have found out myself.
Both our diplomatizing techniques work, you understand.
Apparently so. I was just coming from the laboratory of our house alchemist, talking to her to confirm my suspicions. Apparently there was a very faint trace of spices on the corpse. She found it during her rather grisly autopsy.
That is certainly quite interesting.
Yes, and that is why I was on my way to the good master of coin, because I do believe that this spice, if what Andaria tells me is true, is something that is a little bit rare, bought recently for the town to sate the palates of my lords. She smiles. I am interested to find out which one of the house slaves were actually working in the kitchen when those spices were used.
Interesting. Very well. I believe we can. I think I will accompany you in this bit of investigation, though maybe slightly more subtle than walking around in my clad of armor. Just in case we need to go to the kitchen itself.
Yes, perhaps so. This creature is elusive, as I understand it. Alerting it to our presence might be unwise.
Zyn, for now you're dismissed. Keep your eyes and ears open, however.
Zyn will raise an eyebrow at Rain dismissing him. But since he doesn't feel like disguising himself as a cook, he will instead decide to stay near the kitchen.
So Rain will tell Ivy that someone will meet her near the Master of Coin.
All right. She stalks off down the corridor.
And Rain will disappear.
Jump into a phone booth.
Not quite. And a rather nice, a very, very, very noble-looking, very proud-looking drought shall come and meet Ivy.
Well, Ivy waits close to Miko's, quarter, and when she sees him, she, like her eyes sort of go past him for once, and then she, moves back to him, sort of narrows a bit. He sees that she, briefly moves her hands towards where he's pretty sure she has her daggers, but then, moves them away again and sort of crosses her arms.
As he approaches, he will draw a symbol which indicates, what works for the lords.
Sure.
And then put it away quickly.
Ivy will then cock her head towards Miko's door and allow the mysterious noble to knock.
And he shall knock.
All right. There's a bit of a small commotion inside, and then the door slowly opens, and Miko looks outside. Yes?
Excuse me, Miku. I have been sent from our lords. There is something urgent that they would like have investigated. Ivy shall be leading this exact section, though I've been sent to accompany and keep watch on everything.
He blinks and says, I see. Well, you better come inside then.
Ivy?
He sort of moves away and Ivy takes a step inside the room. Looking about, she, there's a lot of paper in this room. Miko seems to have ledgers of most things coming in and out of this. You actually see his old hunting glaive sort of, in a corner. There's some dust and cobwebs on it. And he seems to be very much... he actually has like a robe on himself. The robe itself has like pockets where you see, quills and pens and ink bottles and things sort of sticking out. He seems very much like a scribe at this point. Ivy says, I would like to look at the... a few things. The shipping manifestos for the last few months, as well as the working schedule of those months, Miko, if you would be so kind. Miko mumbles something to himself that you can't really hear and starts rummaging around in the large archive of cupboards he has, and brings the requested documents, and Ivy leans over and starts poring them over, mumbling to herself. And because you see, my lord, she says towards the mysterious noble, the spice is quite unique in its taste. It must be used rather sparingly, as I understand it. Few people in the kitchen actually have the skill to use it, which should narrow it down somewhat. She looks intently at the work schedule.
Excellent, Ivy. Let's see who we have here.
She pours it over, and she notes a few down, and then they did say that it was a small form that crept about. Yes.
From what reports I've read, yes.
She nods, looking over the list. Then I see only one name that would fit the bill. She points at the name. And you see the name Gerard Clears Away Sorrows.
How do you spell that gnome name?
Silly gnome names.
Okay. Well, it definitely seems to point towards him. How does the Mistress of Whispers wish to handle this?
She shrugs. Well, I am usually not an assassin. Looking about a bit, the matron wished any developments in the case to be brought before her immediately. I assume that this is something she would like to hear.
That seems like a fair enough assumption. Though the matron, from what I know, is though I haven't met her, she is apparently foul-tempered right now.
Oh, isn't she always, though? She's a matron, after all. She sort of waves her hand. No, don't worry. I will bring this news to her personally. And if she is in a foul mood and starts making attempts on my life, I am at least very fast and can run away. She smiles.
Understood. After I'll be waiting for you outside the council chamber. I doubt I'd be welcome. I'm not part of the council, you understand.
Of course. She smiles, takes the acquired notes, and hurries off down the corridor and up the tower.
Algrim will actually go over to Miku.
Oh yeah, Miku looks miserable as he pokes around in the stacks of coins and papers and stuff. He looks at you. Yes.
Out of curiosity, Miku, would you happen to know if anything else interesting has been recently bought that is quite unusual?
He looks down at the papers. I am not really sure what counts as unusual, honestly.
Anything that hasn't been on the town's bills for the last few months?
Well, as the town grows and as new buildings are produced, new items come and go. We have done a nice profit when it comes to the various fruits that we grow in the jungle. They are selling quite well, particularly to traders from Xan and Cladenvolt.
Trade of Cladenvolt has been going well. Interesting. I'm sure the Lord would be happy to know this.
Seemingly so. The roads are still dangerous to travel. But yes, there are traders from Cladenvolt.
Would you have a spare copy of the recent imports which I could look over later?
Sort of looks at you and says, perhaps, but it is not in my business to give out the council's economic papers to someone I do not know. I'm sure you understand.
Of course. Alcrin will bow. My name is Alcrin Seraphin. I am a servant working under Lord Rain. He pulls out the pendant indicating working for the lords.
Miku looks at the pendant and says, I see. Even so, I would need a direct introduction from Lord Rain for me to give these papers away. They are council secrets, after all.
Of course, I will inform him that you are blocking the business here.
Miku looks miserable again and says, you may do so then.
As bureaucracy is, I guess. As he will leave the room with his rather nice strutting walk.
Meanwhile, there is a knock on the council door, and then it slowly opens up. As first Ivy and then Andaria walks in.
Alauneari is sitting on the throne, holding the staff. Little good at doing her.
Ivy walks forward, Andaria after, and Ivy bows. It says, Matron. Andaria does the same. I have some news on the, on the desecration.
Daria nods.
Alauneari.
Daria. Alauneari.
Yep. Ivy says, thanks to the Magister and Daria, and thorough coroner examination. Coroner? Well, a death investigation upon the corpse.
Post-mortem.
Yeah, post-mortem, thank you. An abduction, I guess, was conducted. And Daria at this nod and says, yes, Matron, and I found some interesting things. She sort of has a stack of papers with report probably on them. She puts them in, on the table in front of the throne for Alauneari to read through if she wishes. She says, and Daria continues, on the corpse were faint traces of a particularly rare spice that is not very common here. I managed to do this by, it doesn't matter really. Alchemy, she shrugs. Sort of begrudgingly, but nevertheless inclining towards Ivy, who continues. Yes, Matron, this spice was brought into Vothus quite recently, according to the Master of Coin. The spice is quite peculiar and needs to be handled carefully if dishes made with it are to be edible at all. Otherwise it tastes quite foul. And since no one has been flayed or flogged for cooking bad food, as far as I know, that means that whoever handled the spice must be proficient with it. That in turn leads to narrowing it down a bit. She actually brings forth the sort of working manifesto for the last month. Puts it in front of Alauneari, and she points towards down the list and says, given all the information we have, the perpetrator is small, being able to handle the peculiar spice, and since the spice was bought roughly a month ago, should have been working in the kitchen during that time, it can only be one person. Gerard, his name is. She points at the name.
Alauneari nods. Says, and so?
And so my guess is that Gerard, if he did not attack Jimbal, he was at least present or touched the corpse very soon after.
Alauneari nods. Says, all right then, I have a few orders for you, if you two can carry them out. I want a room. I want it to be entirely lit. I want access to it to be so that when walking in the door, you cannot see much of what is in the room. I want you to lure this person without anyone knowing why or how, make it seem natural into this room and then lock him in there with no escape and no way to look outside. I want this shadow beast to be caught and I want it to be unable to escape.
They give a quick look towards each other, and Andrea says, I can set up such a room. I have alchemical light sources that should be bright enough for the purpose.
That's good. Could you make them not light up until he is in the room?
He seems to think, well, a basic delayed explosion should do it. Small control one, of course. That should be enough.
If you need sacrifices to make this seem natural, feel free to take whoever you wish.
Andrea nods. I will do so, matron.
Make this happen, and do not fail. You've come this far. It is looking good for the both of you. Now, if you should fail, it is, of course, not needed for me to tell you what would happen. When this is done and he is captured, you will gather me and my siblings and bring us to said room. And he will be inside, won't he?
Ivy bows and says, I will do my utmost, matron.
Nods. Do it then, immediately.
Both of them turn and hurry out.
As they hurry out, they'll find Rain at the door.
They both look at him, slight bows. My lords.
So I received some minor updates from my men I sent to you, Ivy. What is the matron thinking?
The matron is rather furious, as is of course understandable. She wishes a special room set up, brightly lit, so that the beast will be unable to escape. And Darius taking care of that part. I am going to see if I can find this Jared.
Yeah.
The
Words. Would you be interested if I could get some additional help for you finding him?
Yes, perhaps. The problem, as I see it, is if Jared is actually in league with this shadow beast, actually luring him to the room might be difficult. He might smell a trap.
We need some reason devised for him to go there.
I will at least go to the kitchen first and see if I can find him there.
As an idea, Ivy, do you think possibly if we could have a storeroom converted for this, basically just telling him that there's a delivery that needs to be brought in?
She seems to consider it and says, yes, that could perhaps work.
You know, something normal to his job, just it happened to go badly.
That could work. The store chamber is rather large, however.
It is certainly true. I'm sure between you and Daria and whatever and myself looking around, I'm sure we can find something.
I will go and see if I can find him. She stalks down the corridor.
Rain will go ahead and double check if there's any guards waiting for him in like his office to give reports and
It's more normal reports, guarding stuff.
Useless. And then looking for a super room for Andaria to trap.
Yep. Andorra seems to be in her lab, gathering ingredients and stuff. Roughly 20 minutes or so later, Ivy returns to Rain. She looks a bit troubled.
Ivy?
It seems that Jarrod is not at his post.
And do any of your contacts know where he is?
I have asked around. He apparently lives in a, in a hut, I suppose. We could call it a shanty. Behind the fortress, among the other, buildings of the town. People have not seen him since this morning. He apparently didn't show up for his work shift.
Interesting. The town is still under lockdown, correct?
She nods, yes. Tetherqual and Tarlin is keeping the gates locked.
He's somewhere inside. Very well.
My guess is that he might try to hide at his home.
Now, that just makes things more difficult.
Yes, I think that if we came calling and demanded him to go anywhere, he will
be
go.
Suspicious.
He will probably immediately grow suspicious.
Do you feel there are any ways you could easily find out what's going on inside?
She says I can certainly try to sneak in. Unless one of the lords feel they are better equipped for doing that.
Well, I know personally, looking at the suit of armor, that I'm not the best one for this. Zyn will certainly not bad at sneaking. I do not know if he'll be the best suited. Your smaller stature does make you slightly better at being able to get around. At least unnoticed.
I can certainly try.
Yeah, Rain dismisses Ivy. Manaki, well, it's certainly true. Ethereal Rilinid makes no sound. If an Ethereal Rilinid went and just, floated through the walls and happened to end up right in front of him, it's like, oh. That would be alerting.
Well, Ivy skulks away anyway.
Well then.
Yes. Simply wait for a report.
All right. Well, an hour or so later, Ivy returns. She quickly tells Rain if he's no longer present. She goes to his office anyway. And in any case, she quickly tells Rain that She approached the small hovel where Jared lives and found the door to be locked. She did peek inside through one of the windows. Didn't see anything. It was completely dark inside. She did hear things, though. As if someone is mumbling things constantly in there. It was a foul language, she says. She did not understand it.
Chance, possibly? Unfortunate. Well, this just provides more evidence for Alauneari.